So welcome to day one of the Captain's Blog, a new season. It's April the 4th, 2015, and you join me here on board Belmore TC that I've hired from Barnes Brinkcraft for a total of 10 days. Now apologies because I've got a brand new camera for the Captain's Blog. It's a system camera. That's one of those compact cameras that you can change the lenses on, a bit like DSLRs, and it's got a viewfinder I keep looking at instead of being in the lens, and because the lens is a different focal length, I'm not quite sure where to hold the camera in relation to me as I'm speaking. You might also be aware that I'm not actually driving the boat at the moment, and that's because I'm not alone at the present time. Sheila's with me, but what I want to talk about right now is what to expect over the next few episodes of the Captain's Blog. So first of all, let's get the apologies out of the way, because I've been very ill recently. It was a bit touch and go whether I was going to make this trip or not. In fact, I was supposed to come up the week before and help out with a biannual maintenance week with the skipper of Broad Ambition, Charlie Griffin, and fellow sort of owners of the boat, doing upgrades and general maintenance. An extra pair of hands, of course, will come in handy. But unfortunately, I found myself recovering after spending 5 nights in hospital due to something that's not really understood and not really gone away. It happened a couple of weeks ago, one Saturday, when I had a very high fever out of the blue, and I took about 3 days off work, and then I thought I'd improved and it was just a bad case of the flu, and I went back to work, and then I had a cough start, and then I knew that the following day there was no way I could go back to work, and that evening and the following evening and all day I was just stuck in bed. So then I decided to call 111, who took an awful lot of details off of me and said, you need to get yourself to A&E now. And I went to my local hospital A&E department, and I was seen very quickly within about 20 minutes, and my sort of vital signs, blood pressure, temperature, pulse, were so up and off the scale that they immediately said, you know, you've got to come in, basically. And yeah, so they did a few tests on me, blood tests and goodness knows what. I was sick, diarrhea, temperature, goodness knows. And then it slowly got better and I got let home, and then I had terrible cough, and then I lost my voice. And I've got the voice come back, but it's not 100%. I think I've got the early stages of tonsillitis now, because they're all swollen. And if you watched the blog last Easter, it's Easter by the way, Easter weekend. Easter last year was a lot later in the year, but I had tonsillitis then. So I apologise if I sound a bit croaky, if I lose my voice at times, but I'm doing the best. So that's just the rundown of what's going on here. So a new camera to get used to, and it's quite a bit heavier than the other one, so I've got like a grip to hold on to it, but it is, I hope, gonna be providing a lot better quality. We're shooting in 1080p and in a different recording format, so I'm trying to improve the quality of the blog. So as I said, Sheila's joining me, and she's been doing absolutely amazingly, because for the last, I suppose, half an hour she's been steering the boat in a non-zigzag fashion. You're just a natural. And the plan basically is that we're going to try to get to the Stracey Arms tonight. I don't know if we're going to do that, but we'll try for Acle at least. And then it means tomorrow we're going to be up at first light, and hopefully there won't be mist, and we will be able to depart and arrive at Yarmouth with enough height under the bridges to get this 8'10" boat underneath them. And if we can, then we'll head on over Braden Water on the Southern Broads all the way to the ferry inn at Surlingham, where we're overnight and have a nice meal in the pub. And then Monday we will go into Norwich, and then we'll get a train to Great Yarmouth and spend a day at the seaside. And then Monday evening, Sheila will have to go home, and then I will have the rest of the time on my own, because I'm afraid that the type of work that Sheila does doesn't give you much free time. No. But I'm
quite happy steering.
You're quite happy steering. This is the girl that was like, I don't want to come, I hate the boats.
Because it's cold, you see.
Is it cold?
Not too bad.
Right. So it's a very high up boat, as you can see. You get a lot of vision out of these big windows, and we're just on the River Bure. We've not long passed Sow House Broad to give an idea of where we are. We're heading towards Horning. That'll be the next sort of point of interest. But at the current time, I'm just unpacking stuff, and day one, as you know, is never a good day for vlogging because you've got to unpack everything. You're new to the boat, so it's just basically going to be to our first mooring, unpack, do dinner, and then the real sort of start of the trip begins tomorrow, very early. So if we get to Stracey Arms, it's about an hour and a half from Great Yarmouth. That means we'll be arriving at the bridges at Yarmouth an hour and a half after slack water. So of course that means that the tide will have probably started to come in, and I'm just hoping that it won't have started to come in enough to reduce the level under particularly Vauxhall Bridge. But if it has, because the tide will be coming in and not going out, if I have to turn at the yacht station, it won't be pushing me towards the bridges, it'll be pushing me the other way. So I've pored over tide tables and thought and ummed and ahed about the whole thing, but really, until we get up tomorrow, see what time, you know, sunrise is, see if it's not misty, because it could be light and then we've got mist and then we can't go. So otherwise we'll probably go to Great Yarmouth and do the whole seaside thing on Sunday. So that basically sums up what's happening here on Belmore TC of day one of the captain's blog, with a less than 100% rascal, but doing his best nonetheless. More as it happens. Okay, so an update for you. It is now currently 25 minutes to 5 in the evening, and we've just come through Lower Street, Horning. We're heading towards the Ferry Inn at Horning. It gets sort of dark around about 7:30 since the clocks have gone forward, so I'm really not sure how far we're going to get to my intended destination, because there was a slight problem with the boat when we took it over that was rectified with one of the water pipes, and also because obviously it's Easter Saturday and there's just, you know, so many people coming to collect their boat. So the yard was absolutely chock-a-block with new customers and the cleaners and engineers and reception. Oh, it was madness. It's good for business, but you know, at the same time, I'm sure that these boat yards just, you know, would rather people sort of turn up in a staggered amount rather than everybody turning up around sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock and going, is my boat ready? So anyway, that's basically what the situation is. It is important for us to at least get to Acle, because if we can't get to Acle, there just wouldn't be the time come the morning to do what I want to do. So in that case, then we would have to go to Yarmouth, moor at the yacht station, spend the day by the sea, and then return back to the boat and catch the late afternoon tide over Braden Water, which I believe is about 5:30, and then maybe more at Burney Arms. So it's just a case of seeing what happens. I haven't worked out how far it is, for example, to Acle, how many, you know, miles that is at 4 miles an hour. Most of this is going to be at 4 miles an hour. There is a bit towards St Bennet's that gets up to 5, and then just after St Bennet's and then down towards Acle it's 6. So I'll just update you as and when. Still getting used to this camera, so bear with me. I've not done any test videoing with this prior to coming away, although I have bought the existing Captain's Blog camera. What I'm going to do is I'm going to review what this looks like on the laptop, also how does it sound, and then if it's no good or I'm not happy, I'll just go back to the old blog camera, which I know, you know, is very good. So in front of us at the present time is the Ferry Inn, and it is double moored. Is it double moored? It looks like it's double moored. Just double check. Yep, double moored at the Ferry Inn and on the island opposite. So very busy. It is Easter. This is one of the reasons why I want to get to the Southern Broads, because I was there last Easter and it is a hell of a lot less busy. So anyway, that's just what's happening. I'll update you a little bit later, maybe when we are at St Benet's Abbey. So as you can see, we're just coming up to the St Benet's Abbey moorings, and there's some sailing boats out. On our left hand side we're just passing the mouth of the River Ant. So we're still heading towards Acle. Time now is just coming up to 15 minutes past 5 o'clock. The river levels look a little bit high, not especially, but there has been some recent rainfall in this part of the world. So I'm not really sure as the week progresses and we do go down to the Southern Broads, and when I come back to the Northern Broads, will we get under London Bridge? I'd love to be able to get up the Ant. I remember the last time I hired Belmore, I was unable to get under London Bridge then. But it is a high-sided boat, more so than, say, Mystic Horizon or Royale, for example. But anyway, that's just a little update. As you can see, there's a couple of spaces here, but things are beginning to fill up. It's not as busy as I thought it might be, actually. When I was on Brinks Rhapsody, it was the October half-term holidays, and it really was absolutely chock-a-block. But you didn't have the advantage of longer days, because obviously we were still in GMT, and it was getting dark around sort of 4:30, 5 o'clock. Just having to concentrate a little bit here. Not quite sure what's going on. Got a summercraft boat with someone desperately trying to hold it in, but not realising they could just take a couple of turns of the rope round the post, and all of the effort of holding the boat would be immediately taken over by the post. But oh, they have put it round the post now. See? They heard me. Never try, especially if it's a bit windy, holding a boat on your own. If there's a post available, use it. But it is nice to be back on the Norfolk Broads, especially when it's as pleasant as it is at the moment. I thought it was going to be pretty grim. It was a pretty cloudy, grey old journey up on the train. But as you can see now, the few fluffy clouds, but it's a lovely evening. Just coming on our right hand side here is the dyke that leads down South Wroxham. So just an update for you now. The time, as you can see, is, well, bang on 6 o'clock, and we are just coming up to Acle. This is the moorings for Horizon Craft, and of course when their boats are not there, anyone can moor there. And as you can see, just over there is the actual bridge at Acle. So we're going to be carrying on, and we've actually made really good progress. We're doing a steady 6 miles an hour according to GPS, which comes at just about 2000 RPM. We're not going against the tide or with it at the present time. It's just slack, which will mean that mooring is going to be easier. Don't have to worry about that. So that's really the update at the present time, what's happening, where we are. It's just been a bit of a longer journey. Most people, obviously, when they take over the boat, will usually just go for a short hop somewhere and moor up. Don't know if you can just see here, out of interest, the new Richardson's logo that they've decided to use on their boats instead of the Ho Seasons logo. I think it looks quite smart. And of course, being out of Horizon Craft at Acle many a time, and I especially enjoyed my time here on Mystic Horizon, and in fact that was the one I had, with the rails on the top. Usually they're just on the side, and they now have curtains at the back of the boat, as you can see there, which was a result of me hiring it and using a bed sheet as a extra little bit of privacy. But it's an absolutely lovely end to an evening. It's a bit chilly out. Let's not kid ourselves. And the overnight temperature tonight is going to get down to about 4 degrees, so it's not going to be a mild night. But yeah, here's the other Mystic Horizon. As you can see, this is a broom fitted out one, and the handrails are on the side. The other one was fitted out by I think it was like Shannon Yacht Services. It originated on the River Shannon and was operated by Le Boat before it came into the ownership of Richardson's. Quite a lot of changes happening at Horizon Craft for the 2015 season. A bit of a shuffle round of boats. Some, like say Blue Horizon, have gone to Richardson's at Stalham and has been called Blue Gem. And they're getting some of the new builds being brought down here, and the entire Moonfleet operation will be run out of the Acle site here. Absolutely great, friendly, very close-knit team here, and it's an excellent base to leave from, because you can, even on a short break, decide to head down south or head north. It's a kind of equidistant. As you can see over here on our left hand side, you've got a lot of boats moored up here, and I strongly suspect that there won't be any moorings at the Bridge Inn. But it's not a bad thing. It's Easter, it's the first sort of real kick to the start of the season, and I think a lot of boat yards and businesses that rely on tourism, you know, take a barometer reading of how's Easter. You know, is it how the bookings, what are the takings like, and it gives a good idea of what might come in the rest of the year. This is a private boat in front of us, but they used to be out of Barnes Brinkcraft with this interesting hull design, as you can see, which obviously means that the front cabin has a great deal of square space to it. Not sure how aesthetically pleasing it is, or good on being a low wash type of hull, but still. There's a mooring there, so there is space at the inn. Just interesting here, you've got Siesta of Richardson's, very smartly presented Magic Gem here again, freshly painted. And hats off to Sheila, although she's a little bit, shall we say, bored. It has been a bit of a long run of just cruising from Wroxham here, but she's been doing a marvellous job of steering. We've had some good music on, a bit of dancing.
Are you proud of me?
So what's it like? You haven't been on the Broads for a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, I'm enjoying myself.
Well,
Let's see by tomorrow. I'm
See,
starting to get bored.
You're starting to get bored? Oh dear. Well, it is just reeds and water at the moment. And I understand that the trip down the River Bure is not the most awe-inspiring. It's not got lots of things to see and go, oh look at that. It's just, oh look, there's more reeds.
And more. Look, there's more. Oh dear.
So, of course, for those following along and who know about these things, before we get to Stracey Arms, we will be passing Stokesby. And then it's not too many corners, and then there's the Stracey Arms itself. Not the best of moorings, let's be honest, at the Stracey Arms. You've got the A47 road right next to you, so it's not a place of serenity. But it is very handy if you either come from Yarmouth and you just want to break, or if you're heading to Yarmouth, it's the last sort of safe haven before the yacht station. So I'll update you when we get to Stracey Arms, and we'll see what time that is. More as it happens. Well, as you can see, we've literally just finished mooring up here at Stracey Arms, and unfortunately I was wrong. We were actually going with the tide. So as we came to moor in here, I immediately knew we were, and you can just see the speed of the tide coming out actually. The time now is actually nearly 10 to 7. According to the time or the tide tables, slack water at Yarmouth was at 3 minutes past 6. So you can see that up here at Stracey Arms, about an hour and a half away from Great Yarmouth, the tide's ripping out still, and because what that means is it wants to pull your stern out into the flow of the river and bring the bow in. So you see how slack the bow rope is and how taut the stern rope is. Now, because this boat has a very high freeboard, what I've done is I've adjusted our fenders here and here right up to keep this part of the boat away from the bank, so as the tide falls, that we don't want to be touching this, and then of course the boat gonna do this. So it's a case of adjusting your fenders, and then as the tide's dropping, I'll be keeping an eye on our ropes here, and obviously letting out some more slack if required, or bringing it in depending on what the actual tide is doing and how the boat's sitting and stuff. So I'm still getting used to this camera because the lens, when you look into the lens, I have to look a bit lower down and seem to have to hold the camera at a different angle to the other camera. But that ends day one of the captain's blog. Trying to get back into the swing of things and not feeling 100%. So I'm sorry, you know, my voice and the camera and, you know, getting used to the boat, but it's the first time since October 2014 that I've, you know, properly been on the Broads, and, you know, just getting used to how a new boat handles and coming into more and so on and so forth, and coming into more with the tide. Should have turned round and, you know, spun round, and then it would have been really simple. But I wasn't on my own. I had Sheila, and she got off, put the rope round the post, and that stopped the stern doing crazy things, and then I got off myself and came and sorted the bow rope. So when there's two of you and you know what you're doing, it's okay. What can happen though is a bit embarrassing, where the boat will basically pivot and swing all the way around the other way. But that didn't happen, and because it means that in the morning when we set off, we're pointing the right way. We don't have to be shooting into the sun there, not a good idea, but we don't have to worry about turning the boat around. So I'm going to just shut the engine off in a moment's time, and that will be then peace and serenity restored. As you can see, we're right at the end of the moorings here at Stracey Arms, and there's not too many boats. There's a few. There's a couple of hire boats that came and moored, you know, with the tide as we had, from Richardson's. It's a nice Princess 33 in front of us there. A boat I rather like, a classic sort of Princess, because this here, the Princess 30, when it's not in the sort of guise of a hire boat. So as I said, that ends day one of the captain's blog. Tomorrow it's a very, very early start and it's going to be a long day, but I'll try and capture the day as best I can. And but it does feel lovely to be back on the Norfolk Broads, and it's not warm, but it's dry. The sun is out. Obviously here is the A47, the road, so you do get the noise of the road through the night. But and I really do like this boat because of this space you've got outside. It's a nice safe space, and it just looks really boaty. The only drawback is its air draft. It certainly is a tall boat. But from here at the Stracey Arms, on day one of the captain's blog, if you have been, thanks for watching. More soon.